The richest person isn't the person who makes the most money, it's the person who keeps the most money. They're wealthy, but they're not free because they have a full-time job, which pays them very, very well, but they're not free.
I was making money and then I had no purpose for it, so it was just going right out. The longevity part was really being intentional.
If you want to help people make it, keep it, and then grow it, those three things are different skill set. Conversation with me, Lewis Crompton. You already know my ugly mug already. I am joined today by the wonderful Sasha. Me and Sasha actually met. I was a guest on his podcast, and on that podcast, I found out a little bit about him, about his journey, where he kind of comes from, or should I say, all the different places that he comes from and has been that have led to the incredible person we see in front of us today. And so I thought it'd be awesome to have him share some of that journey, some of his lessons through that journey with all of you as well. Hello, Dora. Lovely to see you as well. So that's how we met, and that's how we end up here. But yes, Sasha, just share with the Star Trading Gang who you are, what you do, how you've kind of ended up doing what you do, and just, a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you, Louis, for having me on. As he just mentioned, he was on my podcast. And so that's normally the space that I take, because I'm normally the host. So this is a little bit different to me. And on top of having a podcast where I interview entrepreneurs to just get their lifestyle out there so that young people know there's different ways of creating your own healthy, wealthy lifestyle, is I also started to work with coaches and consultants to build funnels and sales processes in general, where people don't just want to work with you to get a quick result, but they want to work with you and collaborate with you to change communities. Because for me, that's what sales is about, building relationships so that we do bigger things together. So that's a bit about me on the professional side. But on the human, the clown side of me, I'm an athlete. I'm a community manager, leader of all things, really. I've lived in 10 different countries, and so community is a big, big thing for me. And more than anything, I love being around people. I think people are the best thing. And even now living in the Netherlands, which is not necessarily the warmest place in the world, I still get to meet a lot of crazy people here, and it's just a pleasure to continue to do it. So that's a bit about me, but I'm sure we'll get into it a bit more.
We'll dive into lots of that, yeah. Karen says that she loves the sentence "healthy, wealthy lifestyles." That's brilliant. I think that's something that we really connected on when I was on your podcast. Is we both have a big vision, right? A big mission, which is very, very much heart driven and life changing driven, and that is what I think really connects us as well. So my question might be a little bit different to what I thought I was going to ask you straight off the bat, but where did that kind of desire come from to help show young people or younger people what's possible? Where did that kind of come from for you?
So I would say it came from a privileged point of view, actually. I was fortunate enough to have really great schooling. So I don't have the story of I was broke and my parents couldn't afford school for me at all. We weren't the richest at all, but I saw the power of education. And I also saw what it looked like when certain communities and all the different ones I lived in didn't get access to quality education. And then I went one step further. I said, okay, it's great to have this education systems, but all of them don't really teach us how to do life, how to create wealth for ourselves. They teach us how to create it for others, but not how to create it for ourselves, not how to keep it, and not how to grow it for the people around us. And so I was noticing this privilege that I had. I was quite aware about it. And I realized this is kind of crazy because I meet so many young, ambitious people that are talented in so many ways, but that talent completely dies because of an educational system that doesn't teach them how to nurture it, how to build an offer around it, how to actually value what they have. And so I said, oh, I'm privileged. Let me give back. And I've fortunately been able to do that. So for me, I said, if I've been able to make people smile and enjoy a bit more of their life through it, let me keep going. I don't know where this will go necessarily, but hopefully we continue to develop communities in a way where young people are involved and also older people just feel like they can get their talents and their skills out as much as possible without being constrained by any sort of systems.
Yeah, I think I love that sense of community. Obviously, that's why Star Trading is a community. But I think something there that's resonating with me is you were talking there about people having a space to use their skills and use their talents.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I was having this conversation. I was having dinner last night with some of the mentorship team at Star Trading, and we were talking about what kind of brings us alive, very much helping other people. But something has shifted in me that, of course, I love our mentees and I want to see our mentees do well. But particularly at the moment, I'm so loving seeing the Star Trading team step into those different gifts that they've got, those different talents that they've got. And I don't even want to say talents, because I feel like that when we say we want to practice our talents, I think we can almost diminish ourselves, because I'm not actually naturally someone, and this is no one's gonna believe me when I'm about to say this. So I think I know all the Star Trading gang are gonna think I'm a liar, but I did not naturally step onto a stage and speak confidently in front of a group of people. And I know all the guys that see me on stage think that's an absolute lie, but it's not. I was the kid when I was a teenager who I did not want to pick up the phone when the house phone would ring, because I was nervous to speak on the phone to anybody. And that was partly an insecurity thing, partly the fact that my voice didn't break until I was about 16 years old. So every time I would pick up the phone until I was 16, everyone thought I was my mum, and it was humiliating. And I hated it. So I wasn't naturally somebody that wanted to be on stage. So I'm using that as a very long-winded way to say, if we say a space to develop our talents, well, you don't necessarily know what your talent is.
Right.
So it's almost like a space just to give things a go and to try things and to evolve and to develop and to try all these different things, and then see, okay, where do I actually enjoy this? Where do I actually have joy in this particular process? And then lean into that. So it's my greatest joy of the moment. 1 second, sorry. And I'm the lovely lady in this meeting room wanted to come and clear the tables, but the door is so squeaky. I was like, no, not just yet. So yeah, I'm just really loving seeing members of the Star Trading team step into new levels and layers of their own ability, and I love that. And so I think creating space for that is so important, and we see it within the Star Trading community, where people kind of start at the beginning of their journey and they're maybe nervous to even ask a question in our Discord community,
Yeah.
and then give it a couple of months, 3 months, and then they're answering questions from people earlier on in their journey, and you see that development. I just love it. I absolutely love it. So yeah, I think that's a really powerful one. Something
And
else I want.
can I ask something quickly? Because you've really mentioned that part of also teams developing in it. And what I found actually in a lot of the agencies or companies that I was working with was that they kind of saw themselves at the point a little bit separate from the team. So the team was sort of just there to help them out, or the science or the students were just there to get the work done and then step out. And what I love that you mentioned is you saw so much value, not just for yourself, but for them to take ownership in the role and then a part of building whatever it is that you decided as a team. Hey, we're going to focus on this. And so I think it's a great quality that you have, and that honestly, that's where for me the longevity comes in. And so it's
Yeah.
great to hear that you're already doing it within your team.
Yeah, I think within our community in general, within Star Trading, we have our core values. Um, I'm not going to pop quiz everyone, don't worry. But one of our core values is we take responsibility for ourselves, for our own results, for our own outcomes, and I think that's really, really important. And I'm very happy to allow people to take responsibility for different areas and different elements, because I've got enough going on in my own brain. Like I can't handle it all. I can't. And so as I've gotten older, the control freak in me has been forced to be less of a control freak, because it just can't handle everything that needs to be done,
Yeah.
everything that needs to be handled. Yeah, brilliant stuff. So again, one of the things you said about money here is you want to help people make it, keep it, and then grow it. And I love those different distinctions, because I always say as well, there's kind of there those three things are different skill sets. So yes, making our money, yes, keeping our money, and then yes, making that money grow as well. And trading is kind of a nice little blend of making it and growing it. The problem is you may be making a lot of money from your trading, but if you're just out there spending it, you've missed the second part, which is actually keeping it. And just for everybody, if you've not read a book called The Richest Man in Babylon, very, very good book. You don't necessarily need to read it, but basically, the premise of the book is the richest person isn't the person who makes the most money, it's the person who keeps the most money. That's the richest person. So yeah, really good book just for understanding that principle as well. So where did that kind of understanding for you come from? The making it, the keeping it, and the growing it? Was it just something that came into your own brain? If it did come into your own brain, is there certain experiences that kind of led to that?
So I think the best way to answer that is to just go a little bit through my journey in terms of my experience with sales and how I developed in there. And really from the beginning of why I even got into closing deals was I wanted to make money. And the story that I was told about making money was you had to work super hard, you had to work really long hours. And I didn't believe that, because then that meant that I had to wait until 40 before I could really enjoy the life that I wanted to live. So I said, there must be another way. I just searched on the internet and then I got into closing. And then I said, okay, great. Now I've understood the making money part. And okay, I have to have some sort of skill. Then the next part that I saw, even working again within the agencies, within companies as behind the scenes, was a lot of these companies were making a lot of money, but it was coming right out so quickly. Whether it was the founder that was just spending a little bit crazy, or they weren't tracking anything, or there was just no purpose for making money, was the other part. And so I saw the big gap, because then they were just in a space where they were constantly chasing. Then I realized, really, really important to also make sure you keep it, because you just never know. And there's always going to be a day where you will need the money, and probably a lot more than you think, is where I saw
100%,
a lot of these
yeah.
experiences. Then the last part, yeah, go ahead. Did you want to mention something?
Yeah, I was just say for everybody listening, when sometimes in Reaching Conversation, a lot of people are business owners, they're investing in business, and that's part of their wealth journey. But I really want to just remind people that we should all be thinking about our own personal finances as if it's a business. It's your own personal economy, and the same principles that you would use for business and being good with your money, managing your money, cash flow, all of that kind of stuff is exactly the same as you should be thinking about yourself, your family, your household, your personal finances. And the principles are so compatible, so compatible. Just give me a yes in the chat, everybody, if that makes sense. That even if we talk about business, I want you to think about that in terms of you personally if you don't necessarily have a business. Awesome, lots of people saying yes. There we go. So there we go. That's what I just wanted to add that in.
And it's a super great distinction to make, that yes, these two worlds may be different, but they're so complementary. And I interviewed someone recently who was saying that entrepreneurship is the best character building experience that you have. And I think entrepreneurship
Because it breaks you. That's why.
Exactly.
It forces you to therapy.
And I think that's the same with just developing yourself in general. So whether you're in trading, whether you're just in larger investments, more long-term investments, I think there's a character building experience that can be translated into just your personal life.
Yeah.
Because even to finish answering what you mentioned before of, yeah, you make the money, now how do we keep it, is for me, have a purpose for having the money and where you actually want to use it, and whether it's to save, whether it's to invest. Lewis would be the more of the expert there, but I think having a purpose for why we're making money is super important. And then the other part, which is the last part of actually allowing it to grow around you, is having a purpose that's linked to people, and a thank to the people that are around you, and not just anyone, but people that you actually enjoy working with and enjoy spending time with. Because they, in my experience, and in the people I've worked with, they will be the ones to push you and challenge your mission and idea the most. And I should tell you, hey, you thought you needed this amount to do this, but no, we actually maybe need a lot more because our mission is much bigger. And so then you have all three. You have the talent to make the money, and then you have the purpose to keep the money, and then you have the people and the community and the purpose all linked together to actually grow it and multiply across so many other people. So it was just by seeing my own mistakes and seeing the mistakes of other people where I was making money and then I had no purpose for it. So it was just going right out. I didn't have any goals of this is what I want to do with it. I just like, well, I'm making money. I know I'm going to make money tomorrow, one way or another, and however much it was. But the longevity part was really being intentional, saying, this is what I want to do with it, and this is who I want to do with it.
Yeah. I was speaking to just a friend of mine the other day, and they're wealthy, but they're not free because they have a full-time job, which pays them very, very well, but they're not free. And so they, funny enough, are talking to me about learning how to trade, of course. But they were talking about him and his partner are setting financial goals which aren't business related because they have a job, but it's and he said the only reason they do it is because it stops them spending the money they're making now. So like, okay, right, we want to have this house at some point in the future, which is way out of budget right now, but if we can get X amount saved ready for it, then we're in a good position. I was like, oh, that's really, really interesting because I don't really think that way because I'm less motivated by things. I was like, oh, actually, maybe I should be adding that into my sphere as well, my own personal goals, because all my goals are about impact, changing the world,
Yeah,
all of that. So I kind of forget the personal side. Whereas it's really interesting as a kind of like a mirror image to speak to somebody that's got no business goals, no like big mission, changing the world kind of goals, but just personal goals, which still help them make
exactly.
this make helpful financial decisions moving forward as well. I was like, oh, maybe I'll do the same. And I was like, okay, right. I also want a £4 million villa in the south of France because it turns out I really like the south of France. Why not? Why would I not want that? So yeah, I think that was really, really helpful too. Um, so changing the conversation a little bit, I want to hear more about kind of your journey. You've lived in 10 different countries. Walk us through how, why, where, all of that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah. So the main part of it, honestly, is linked to my mom. She was a humanitarian. And she is a humanitarian, I thought, but she retired. But she was a humanitarian for most of her career. And so, as a family, just in general, we were always moving about every 2 to 3 years. And then it's only in these recent times that now being in the Netherlands was for myself, my education, then my career.
Yeah.
And I have done 8 countries in Africa and then 2 in Europe, so Italy and the Netherlands. And so that journey has been, what can I say, crazy, really, really crazy. But it's been the best experience of opening my mind up to what is possible. And I think travel does it in a way that no other things can. When you go into a whole new community and a whole new space, you see a different way of building life. And so, even back to my reason around the podcast of showing people how to create their own healthy, wealthy lifestyle, it's really specific on their own.
Yeah.
And I used to think that before I got more exposed, before I got older, I used to think that a healthier, wealthy lifestyle was just pure flash, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the big money, it's shiny. Then, as I traveled more and I was looking back at the different countries, different experiences, I realized that, well, one thing that is a wealth factor for me is health and just well being.
Yeah.
And many of the communities I lived in maybe weren't the most economically independent and most economically developed, I'd say, in the sense that they're not necessarily competitive in the global market, but they laughed every day. They played on the road with their families. The quality of the food was amazing, and they didn't necessarily have to spend much to live a healthy lifestyle. And so that was sort of a funny journey of seeing really shiny Italy, Netherlands a little bit, and then sort of seeing other countries where the shiny is just great nature and great
Yeah.
environments. So this journey, I'm still on it, and I'm very transparent of saying I'm still trying to figure out what a wealthy lifestyle looks like for me. But I'm definitely understanding more with my experiences that it's this combination of a healthy environment with healthy people full of life and warmth, and also, yes, having money in the account, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I need the resources to be able to deploy it. So it's this balance that these two, I guess, the European and maybe the African worlds have
Yeah.
shown me that I'm now slowly learning how to bring together, and it's
Yeah.
an experience for sure.
That's amazing. Do you feel like obviously moving quite a lot, there often when people have that experience, they can feel like they don't really belong in a particular community or really fit in here or there. Do you think maybe part of that is your drive to create community and support communities? Because yeah,
Absolutely,
of that.
absolutely. To be really vulnerable for a long time, even up until recently, I felt extremely lost. because if I go back to Cameroon, where I'm originally from, I'm not like a typical Cameroonian. My accent doesn't sound like it. Right? I don't walk. I don't necessarily even dress like someone who's from there. If I go to now a completely different place in Africa, even in Senegal, yes, I might be black, but I'm not like them. Right? I
Yeah.
speak 3 different languages. I go to Italy, I speak Italian, but I'm not necessarily exactly like Italian. So that was the exactly what you're saying. Is like that was the journey of I was never really a belonging in the community. And
Yeah.
I was always very quickly identified as different, one way or another. Whether it's the skin color, whether it's the sound of my voice, whether it's how I even think and the dreams that I have for myself, there was always that slight difference. And so definitely to answer your question of was that the driving factor on building community? Yes. Because I was this small lost child that just wanted to be held. I think that's the
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah.
And if I realized, well, I'm great at building relationships because it became a survival skill, and I'm realizing that I'm not alone in this. And there's actually a lot of people in very different ways that don't feel like they belong. Well, let's come together and talk about the fact that we don't feel like we belong and see how we maybe create our own world, right? In
Yeah.
the world that maybe seems different from us. So that, and it's still the experience right now. I live in the Netherlands in a place that is really multicultural in Rotterdam specifically. And so in terms of race, in terms of ethnicity, there's people from everywhere.
Yeah.
But still, I feel completely sometimes alone in my entrepreneurial journey. So
Yeah.
one way or another, I always feel that loneliness a little bit, but I don't see it as a problem. I just see it as a great chance for me to go connect with someone that is probably having the exact same experience and is probably 100 meters down the road. And
Yeah.
so definitely the community building community, it's survival mechanism, but the best opportunity to do crazy fun things with great people.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. And I think it's how you choose to wrap it in your brain as well, right? Or frame it in your brain. And I think you said something really interesting that there could be someone down the road having the exact same experience, and I get to find them and connect with them. And it might be but that they're having the same emotional experience, but the trigger of that emotional experience is different. So they might feel separate for
Yeah.
some completely different reason. It might be they are from a different country, or they have a disability, or they have this skill set that nobody else has. But the feeling is exactly the same. And so I find that so fascinating. And when people, we can choose to allow these differences to become negative things, um, or we can choose to see them as really interesting opportunities to have
Yeah.
really interesting conversations. And that's what I love. And this is why I partly hate social media, because it's made every difference a problem versus something unique to have a discussion about. And I love that. And again, thinking back to my own history back in the church and that community, and then stepping away from that community, that's probably in part why I created the Star Trading Gang, because I also wanted community. I know how powerful community can be and how important it is. And there's even studies shown that if you are part of some form of community, that you live longer and you have a happier life.
Sure.
And stands to reason, right? We're creatures designed to be in community and in connection with others.
Exactly.
And I think in Star Trading, we're all so different, like so different walks of life. But because we have this thing that's uniting us, I know I always say that trading kind of brings us together, but it's the connections that keep us. And yes, we need a shared vision. And the shared
Yeah.
vision, I suppose, in Star Trading is financial peace, financial freedom, have a better financial life. But then you actually build connections and relationships with people. And that's where true community is built, not in all being the same, but in accepting and supporting. I think that's where true community is made and maintained.
Yeah, definitely. And even on your point of the longevity part of being around communities, there's even a study that was done across around the world of the places where people live the longest. They're called blue zones.
Yes, I've
And
heard about this. Yeah.
one exactly. And so one of the things that they mention is that all of these places had a really strong sense of community, and for the individual, a sense of belonging one way or
Yeah.
another. So yes, the vision's there, but then it's also the connections and then the memories that are built around it that yes make you feel valuable, but then also make you feel a part of something bigger that's moving forward. So it's not even just a theory or thought; it's the places where people live the longest, they are really well connected with the community and feel like a part of it. So it totally makes sense that you're doing this work.
Yeah, and it's that sense of something bigger. And I sometimes talk about this with people, especially after a couple of glasses of wine. And as I because I grew up in the church, right? I know what it is to be passionate about a mission bigger than yourself. Like that was drilled into me.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just part of my nature anyway, but that's what I grew up with is you are on this mission. Whether you agree with the mission or not kind of doesn't really matter, but you are on this mission, you have this purpose, you have this passion as a collective, not just as an individual.
Yeah.
And when you are part of that, it's euphoric. It is euphoric. I mean, think about football teams that are
Yeah.
they are communities, not necessarily always healthy ones, but they have a shared mission, a shared vision to see their team be at the top of the what's it called? Actually, I don't even know enough about football. League.
Top of the league or competition. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. To see, and so they're euphoric about it. They sing songs about it. They do chants about it. They're in little WhatsApp and Facebook groups about it. Like that is a community around a shared vision. So your differences become less important than the shared vision and mission, and that's lovely. And who do you hate? Everybody that supports another team, because the enemy of my enemy is my friend, or whatever it is, something like that. And so that's what unites and binds people and connects people as well. Tara's just said, you mentioned about supporting and developing communities. What has been your proudest moment in regard to that so far? Also, you've lived in so many countries. All this brilliant question as well, Tara. Do you have a favorite place or country to live in?
Oh, wonderful questions.
Yeah.
To answer the first one of the proudest is actually with, I'll mention two clients. One of them was that I will help them, yes, make more money, but actually help them set up a system where with their clients, they were able to connect over a shared vision of educating young women in Haiti and across Central America and some places that just don't have that access to entrepreneurial resources or just general education. And so it was one of my examples of how entrepreneurship and sales actually can be a great opportunity to connect people over a shared mission, and now they're working together with it, and they would have never known, but just by starting the conversation they're now doing. And then similarly was with another client was, hey, you love giving back, your whole family, your even with your mom, your experience has been sharing food and allowing young moms that don't have opportunities, whether they don't have houses, they don't have a job, to still be able to eat well. So then again, through her trading community, through her business, she's able to connect with the right people by having the right system set up. And I do take credit in that because I'm proud of it, is that she had the system and then connected with someone great. And then now they do it on I think now on a quarterly basis or maybe on a semester, like twice a year, where they go and they just feed a whole bunch of communities in, I think now she's in California, maybe moved, but she's now continuing to do that with several entrepreneurs, several traders. And so that has definitely been a great accomplishment where it wasn't just a money figure, but we came together for something bigger and made it happen. And then for my favorite country, Senegal, right? It's peaceful. People are so kind. And if there's anywhere you have to go touchdown in Africa first, I call it Africa light because it's not so intense and you can breathe a little bit. It's not so intense. Some countries are quite intense, but Senegal's a great place because peaceful, great food, great people. And I think that's on that topic of wealth and well-being. That was the core.
Yeah.
So
Well, maybe we'll have to do a star trading Senegal trip. Karen said exactly the same. Karen, great minds think alike. I literally was going to say the same. We do it. We do a travel trip once or twice a year, and yeah, maybe we'll have to add Senegal to that list. There, which is very, very cool. David has said, if you're looking for community in the Netherlands, he joined a rugby club when he was in Eindhoven, and it's a great way to connect with other people. I don't know if you're into rugby, but sports can be a very, very good way.
I got into sports. I got into football, or
there you go.
what some crazy people call soccer. Yes, I got into.
Yeah, awesome. So let me just make sure I've not missed any other questions. Oh yeah, so yeah, cool. Favorite country, Senegal. final questions from everybody, because we have technically come to the end of our time. But what would you kind of say is, and this is a big question, so apologies, from your life journey and life experience, if you had to write one lesson for people, what would that lesson be?
Wow, what a question.
It's a big one, I know, and I didn't give you any warning.
No worries, no worries. No, give me time. I would say trust your gut first. And if you don't feel like you can trust your gut, do something. I got into many spaces where I would freeze. Either one, because I was scared of the consequence of trusting my gut, even though I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I would freeze. And then even though I didn't maybe know I could trust myself, I didn't fully know if I was capable, if my gut was telling me this, I would still freeze and not do anything. But then
Yeah.
if I look back at all the moments that have allowed me to have the most fun, that have allowed me to make the most money, that allowed me to connect with the greatest people, was when I just said, you know what, whatever, whether I trust myself or not, I'm going to do something. And I'm going to act on that one thing that comes to mind and then see and allow myself to react and be dynamic, because that's the best thing about us as humans is the neuroplasticity of our mind. Is we can change and learn and flip and turn and all these things so quickly,
Yeah.
but we have to give ourselves the chance to do it. And I think taking action and not freezing is the best way, right? From a really basic level of, if you're tired or feel like you're in your mind so much, go outside, go walk, go be active, go be around people. But on the same side is, if you're afraid to send that message or send that invoice or whatever to a client, send it and see how you react. I think is such a better approach to it than freezing and never giving your mind even the chance to be that plastic and be that dynamic. So I definitely say that just do something. Be
I love
active,
that.
one way or another.
I love that. Yeah, that's brilliant. Because again, it stops giving ourselves a get out to not take action.
Yeah.
But also, I remember when I was going through a heavy bout of therapy a number of years ago, and my anxiety was getting worse and worse and worse. And my therapist was like, "You're letting it get worse because you're shrinking your life, because you're letting the anxiety dictate your behavior." So I would feel the anxiety and I would shrink away from life, which meant my life was getting smaller and smaller, which meant more and more was making me anxious.
Everything's
So
not
he was,
happy. Probably.
yeah, exactly. He was like, you need to kind of not just push through it, but he was like, you need to stop allowing that to dictate your behavior. And so that helped me start pushing through and expanding my life again. But yes, Sasha, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody, thank you for joining us as well. What is a good way for people to connect with you?
The best way is through Instagram. If you search up my first name and last name, so Sasha Mballa, Mballa, and you just send me a message through that, that's the best way. Just say, hey, where I was on Lewis's show, I'll call it, I guess we can show, or conversation. Yeah, exactly. And I definitely just want to connect, even if it's just to just talk. Like, it doesn't, I'm not just business person. And if you just want to talk business with me, don't send me a message. I'm not the person for it. I'm more than just business, more than just sales, more than just money. If you're just curious about, hey, how did you do this, or how can I do that, I'll just have a conversation with you and listen. And I'm more than happy to do that. So thank you so much, Lewis, again, for the opportunity to share a bit of my story and to connect with your community as well. I see such an engaged community. I think it's amazing that you have that, because as we were saying, without community, we're nothing. And so you have something really special here. And if there's any way I can support or continue to be a part of this, it'd be absolutely amazing, because I love the engagement, love the questions, and love what you're building. So thank you again, Lewis.
Thank you. We do have an amazing gang. Every single one of them is great. They are fab. They're the best. They really are the best. Awesome. If you did turn up late, I know some of you turned up late. Don't worry, we will make the recording available to you guys in the next 24 hours in our Discord group. And yes, I'll speak to you all very, very soon. Goodbye, everybody, and thank you for joining us. See you later.
Take care.